A few months ago, a mother from a family contacted our foundation because she was desperate about the situation of her family. Her son was addicted to video games at a point where he wasn't even talking well with the family. There were a lot of fights. There was a difficulty of communication in the family. And she contacted me, in a very desperate way. And she asked me if I could have consultations with her son to exchange to him about what he feels for the moment, because she was worrying about what happened to him. And I called him Mike for this sharing. Of course, we respect the confidentiality. It's not his real name. But Mike was really part of this new generation we're talking to you about. He is someone very sensitive, very open, but he kind of refuges himself in video games. And it is the case for many teenagers, and even myself. When I was a teenager, I used to play a lot of video games because it was a way for me to seek for a refuge. I was so sensitive about everything that happened to me at school with my friends that video games were a place where I could have the control over what I did in the video game. And Mike, he lived exactly the same. He was not very talkative, when I had these conversations with him, he had a kind of a difficult personality. Because when I was asking questions, how is it going for you at school? He just said to me, it's going well. The kind of personality difficult to approach. And when it is the case, when you have a youngster like this, a teenager, I think Mike was around 13 years old, sometimes it's difficult to talk with them. Maybe it is your case. You have already exchanged with teenagers, and it's not like children. They are in the teenage years and many things are happening inside of them. They live inner changes. They have emotions they didn't know about before. They are going from the childhood to the adulthood. And it creates a lot of changes, a lot of instabilities. And it had reached a point where all the family was affected by this situation. So I had to use EQ here to know how to approach this young man, because he wasn't opening that much to me. And I started to ask him, very casual questions, where are you going on holiday this summer, questions like this. And with this question about the holidays, he revealed me something very interesting. You will see. He told me, well, we are having a conflict actually in the family for the moment about where to go on holiday. He told me that he wanted to go to the mountain, and I think it was him and his father, they wanted to go to the mountain, and his mother and sister, there were four family members, his mother and sister, they wanted to go to the beach. And there was a lot of fight. He told me, I told my mom I don't want to go to holidays if we go to the beach, you see. And this is the age, maybe you have lived that, you have experimented that, where teenagers sometimes they say, no, I don't want to go to holidays with you. Parents, they are not understanding me, etc. He was really having this energy. And when you reach just the first level, you think, he's just a complicated teenager, he just wants to confront his parents, he is just wanting to create trouble. It's not just like this. Yes, its percentage is like this. He wants to confront, he wants to challenge the parents, etc. But there is a code beyond the mountain. There is a code beyond the beach. And he was speaking symbolically about what he wanted. Because the mountain and the beach, it's completely different. It's not the same place, it's not the same things you experiment at the mountain and at the beach. So if you go to the mountain, usually you go there for hiking, you go there in a cabin or a place near the mountains with not too many people. You do campfire, you go high on the mountain. So you experiment things that are completely different from the beach because you are more in a state of elevation. When you go up the mountain, you have a beautiful view on everything that is around you. You are more interiorized, you are more, in connection with an element also that is the air. You are more in your thoughts when you are in the mountain. It's not like the beach at all. And of course, if we analyze the mountain, we can understand the feeling of elevation, the feeling of wanting to have a global vision on your life, on everything that is happening right now. And on the contrary, the beach, it's much more social. You have usually many people around you. It depends on the beach, of course, but usually you are more in the sunlight, people are playing volleyball around you, and it's more in connection with the water element, and sometimes you can have people, they wear a bikini, they don't have many clothes, so there can be seduction, there can be, games that are played, sometimes without saying anything, but many things happen on the beach, more than on the mountain. And if he didn't want to go to the beach, this young man, it's because he was very sensitive. He was a teenager. And when you are a teenager, sometimes you can have complexes about your body. Maybe you are too fat, maybe you are too thin. People, they can make fun of you at school, etc. And when you go to the beach, it's multiplied because you are in a swimming suit. People see your body and you are more exposed to the social. And this is what this young man didn't want, to be exposed too much to the social, to be in connection with more emotions. He was more playing video games, so he was very much in his thoughts. And the mountain, when you go up, you go more in your thoughts. When you do a hiking, you meditate, it's a kind of meditation, we can say. You think about your life, you do not have intense conversations usually in a mountain, even if you can sometimes exchange with people next to you. It will not be like on the beach where, you share a drink, you share a game, volleyball or anything like this, or with the family, you have a meal, a picnic on the beach, etc. It's very different. And through this example, through this conversation I had with him, I was able to find a way to talk to him. Because I told him, when you say you want to go to the mountain, you don't just want to go to the mountain. You are seeking for emotions. You are seeking for a deeper reality. And when you say, I want to go to the mountain, you mean both positive and negative things. In the positive, you say, I wish to elevate. I seek replenishment. I want peace. I don't want to be in the social too much. And in the negative aspect, I have told him that. And he was looking at me, with eyes like this, because it was the first time someone was saying this to him. And I told him, if you want to go to the mountain too much, because it was a kind of a crisis, I want to go to the mountain, I don't want to go to the beach, it's like you want to escape from the beach. You want to escape from the social level. You don't want to socialize. And because you want to elevate, you can feel heavy in your life. And you seek this elevation. Oh, wow. He was not saying anything, but I could feel it was like a revelation to him. And any teenager, when you have this symbolic language, when you have this code inside of you, you can understand from a very simple conversation like this, very profound realities, and you can help. And I helped him. I said to him, you need to socialize more, When you play video games, you are alone in your room, you are alone in your corner. And it can create problems with your family. I knew there were a lot of other problems, but, when I took this angle of, you want to go to the mountain, and when you play video games, it's just like when going on the mountain. I took this angle. He was more receptive, very, very receptive. If I just told him, you need to play less video games, you spend too many hours on your screen and it's not good for your family. It doesn't work with teenagers. It doesn't work with a teenager of 13, 15, something like that. They will just say, yes, yes. And then they will maybe sometimes play even more video games because you have been too moralizing, too, preventing him to do what he likes. But here, I took another angle. I told him, when you play video games, maybe you feel peaceful, maybe you feel a feeling of replenishment. It's not completely negative, of course, to play video games. And there are positive video games as well. So I took his perspective. Okay, you like video games, so use your video games at your advantage. Play with your family. I asked him, when was the last time you played with your family video games? He told me, many years ago I used to play with my sister a little bit. So I told him, start again. Start again to play with them. Exchange with your family. If they want to go to the beach, it means they want to socialize more. And it will help you with your friends, it will help you at school, it will help you in all your relationships, but you need to socialize more. Otherwise, you will stay stuck in your video games and you will remain alone. So he listened to me. And 1 week has passed. I told him this, I think it was on Saturday. And the next Saturday, we had another conversation. And he told me, I have applied what you said to me about video games. And I played video games with my father. So he downloaded a video game, a positive video game. It was really inspiring, a kind of game of cooperation. You had two characters and you had to cooperate. It was not a game of fighting or something like that. It was a positive game of cooperation. And he played that with his father. And imagine, he told me, I really felt good about this moment because it had been months since I had spent time with my dad. Months of not being able to talk, not being able to exchange, having conflicts about holidays, etc. And just because he understood his wish to go to the mountain, he understood he needed to socialize more, he opened himself. And it was so touching when he said that to me. He was even himself touched by this. And I even received a message from the mother of the family, and she told me, I feel Mike is changing. I feel there are a lot of positive changes, and thank you for helping him like this. And if you want to create harmony in a family, you need to understand each other. And sometimes the code of someone is completely, mixed and disturbed and complicated. But if you understand the code of what they mean, it can be anything. Clothes, fashion, video games, anything. You can use symbolic language to understand what it means. And when you understand these realities, you can find better angles to approach people. Even when you are a teacher, or a school academic, or a school staff. When you understand emotions, you understand EQ, you can help create harmony in almost any situation. It takes time, but if you respect the rhythm, if you go in the right direction, not forcing too much, you can have extraordinary results. And we have so many examples in our foundation of families that have changed so much with this kind of understanding. So I hope you will now use your EQ in a way that will help not only others, but also yourself and maybe your own family.